Pepsi is no longer the number 2 soft drink in the US. Dr. Pepper claimed number 2 last year, and Sprite just became number 3 recently, beating Pepsi for the first time ever. What is surprising is that Sprite actually did it with only half the ad budget. Because according to Media Radar, Sprite actually spent $24 million last year on advertising, while Pepsi spent almost $40 million. So what is actually Sprite doing right that Pepsi isn't? And in today's video, we're actually going to break down the brand strategy moves that Sprite is doing that's giving it such an outsized ROI. Every business can actually learn from it. And number 1 is a defined audience actually leads to sharper execution. Sprite actually knows exactly who it's speaking to: young Black Gen Z customers who are interested in sports and pop culture. Once the brand actually identified the core audience, every message, every creative choice surrounds this audience, from visual identity to partnership selection. And across Sprite's social media and website, the representation is front and center. The brand doesn't just post generic visuals, it actually speaks in the cultural language of its audience. For example, in its latest Obey Your Thirst reboot, Sprite actually partnered with athletes such as Anthony Edwards, not just for his fame, but because of his raw charisma, honesty, and this playful confidence that aligns perfectly with Sprite's voice. And also Carrie Richardson, she's outspoken, fearless, and unapologetically herself. Sprite actually tends to work with athletes who are kind of individualistic and non-conforming and expressive, and building this genuine resonance with young Black audience who sees their experiences reflected in the brand. And their number 2 strategy is build a brand culture, not just ads. You know, in this day and age, Gen Z does not really want another flash ad. They actually want brands that stand for something. And in Sprite's Locked In campaign, Anthony Edwards and Kevin Garnett sit in a G-Wagon, talking candidly about life choices such as money, pressure, clubs, and expectations. This realness about their life actually gets the young audiences interested in something more than a brand. Sprite barely even appeared in the video. There was no product shots and no taglines. Instead, Garnett drops a line that sticks.
That same spark, you'll be alright.
This actually feels more like social content rather than the ads, and in fact, it will actually attract more people by branding on the culture of the brand rather than the products. So Sprite isn't actually chasing trends, it's actually embedding itself in culture. And on top of this, being yourself, being authentic culture, Sprite is also focusing on diversity. Sprite is not just branding diversity by giving out some flashy logo, some fancy tagline, but actually it does it through actions. For example, it hired its first female athlete, Carrie Richardson. And also, Sprite became the funding sponsor for Unrivaled, a new women's 3-on-3 basketball league. This actually allows the female Gen Z audiences to feel represented and feel seen. And Pepsi just feels a little more lacking in this regard, in building genuine brand cultures and values. Remember that infamous 2017 Kendall Jenner at Pepsi ad? It was a really awkward and also inauthentic move that tried to align with the Black Lives Matter campaign. In this ad, Pepsi got Kendall Jenner to be in it, who is actually a privileged celebrity that has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. And also in the ad, it portrays Kendall Jenner to hand over a can of Pepsi to the police, trying to create this rosy image of everyone fighting for the same cause. But in reality, it actually trivializes police brutality. This actually sparks widespread outrage. It just goes to show that it's just doing something for the sake of doing it. What's interesting is that Pepsi was one of the first brands that established the image of diversity to its brand value. Controversially, not just that long ago, Pepsi decided to roll back its DEI policies. These moves actually just sabotaged the brand of diversity it actually painstakingly built over the years. It kind of creates this inconsistency and branding authenticity in the minds of the consumers. And sometimes it takes years to build a brand legacy and just a few seconds to sabotage it. And the number 3 brand strategy that we can all learn from Sprite is transitioning from brand sponsorships to brand collaborations. Sprite doesn't like to do one-off sponsorship. Instead, it actually invests in long-term collaborations. And let's take Anthony Edwards for example again. Sprite actually has featured him in the 2022 New Bottle, New Sprite campaign, and 2024 Obey Your Thirst reboot campaign, and 2024 Santa Claus holiday campaign, and also 2025 Locked In campaign with Kevin Garnett. Not to mention the countless TikToks, memes, and short-form contents that it collaborated with Anthony Edwards to make. These repeated appearances actually create brand memory and also emotional familiarity. You don't just see Sprite, you start to feel it. The 2024 Abate Your Thirst Reboot campaign is actually a masterclass in emotional storytelling. Sprite actually recreated the iconic 1994 ad featuring NBA legend Grant Hill.
Man, that's Grant Hill. Grant Hill drinks Sprite? Grant Hill drinks Sprite.
At this time, he actually paired him with the rising star Anthony Edwards.
He drinks Sprite? Hey, he drinks Sprite.
At this time, Grant Hill actually takes the position of kind of like a coach.
I tried to tell him, man. Oh, I know.
This actually symbolizes a literal passing of the torch. For millennials, it actually sparks nostalgia. And to Gen Z, it is the time for them to shine. Whereas Pepsi stars don't live in the brand story year over year. They're more like event-based and not really emotionally ongoing. And the number 4 lesson that we can all take from Sprite is be native to the platform. Sprite really understands the rules of the modern content platform. They know that nowadays a 30-second polished ad just does not cut it anymore. Sprite doesn't just stick Anthony Edwards in a glossy ad, but instead actually creates memeable clips, bite-sized quotes, and also TikTok-friendly edits. Some of these clips actually go viral, not just because Sprite is forcing it, but because he's an actually entertaining guy. And this paradoxically makes the branding more effective. And Sprite also launched TikTok challenges, and it challenges people to chug a whole bottle of Sprite without burping.
Oh my God. No.
And this actually creates some natural and fun fanzine interactions with the brand. It's more physical and it's laughable and shareable. And it goes to show that Sprite really gets some of the new and fun, more interactive short-form content platforms. The last lesson to learn from Sprite is the digital innovation and community building. Sprite knows that in this digital age, people want more than just the content. They actually want connections and a sense of community. And that's why they launched the Obey Days, a weekly digital hub accessible through QR codes, unlimited edition of Sprite's bottles. And this allows fans to access some of the behind-the-scenes clips from Edwards and Richardson, and some inspirational voice messages. Sprite understands how to create a sense of community, and they treat people like participants in a movement, whereas Pepsi treats audiences more like the viewers of an entertainment. So there are 5 key takeaways for brand strategies that all businesses can learn from Sprite. Number 1 is find ambassadors that already represent your values. Don't try to manufacture alignment. Find talents whose story is already your story. And number 2, make them collaborators rather than just spokespeople. Let them shape tone, improvise lines, and co-own the message. And number 3, design content native to each platform. A lot of times, long-term memories actually beat short-term attention. And number 5, building a sense of belonging and community. Marketing should feel like more of an invitation to an event where everyone participates, not just the broadcast. So if you're building a brand today, especially on a limited budget, try to take a page from the Sprite playbook. Less money, more meaning, and a lot more memory. For more brand building and business content like this, hit that subscribe button. Let's build your brand together.